Christian, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm a bit worried about Hamas opening their gates of hell.
Oh.
Do you know, like, I just think I've got enough on my plate already at the moment without the
hell
third
mouth
world. I don't want the
swallowing
third
you up.
world war. I'm just not prepared for that.
Well, you look prepared. You look like a soldier. Like you could throw yourself into whatever the Third World War equivalent of trenches is.
It's not true. It's not true. And I also think, like, if we were living in a post-apocalyptic world, I wouldn't be one of the people that would be chosen to repopulate either. Do you
Why not?
Because I'm a weak man. I mean, you look at me, Tim, and you're not seeing somebody who you think has strong genes, are you? That's not what you're seeing here in front of you.
You do look a little like you would have been naturally selected out of the gene pool had it not been for medical science.
Yeah, exactly that.
I know that because I see it when I look in the mirror.
It takes one to know one.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for coming in. You're coming in to talk about Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
Growing up in Australia, did you have the song Jesus Christ Superstar wears frilly knickers and a Playtex bra?
I had Jesus Christ Superstar driving around the corner in his motor car, pulled a skid, killed a kid, cracked his balls on something.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
yeah. So you
Seemed to
didn't have the bra. I feel like the bra is a key
No, we had
component.
Wonder Woman lost her bosom flying TAA, which you wouldn't have heard.
Oh, no.
Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin Flew.
Yeah.
TAA was an airline that died in the 80s.
Right.
Yeah, with
Because
Wonder
of the
Woman.
incident with Wonder Woman, yeah. Did you have Hitler only has one ball?
Yeah, but I mean,
Was it in the Sydney Opera House rather than the Albert Hall?
no, Albert Hall. But I didn't know what that was at that stage.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, have you been in a musical before? Of course, you've been involved with musicals, but had you been in a musical before?
I have been in Jesus Christ Superstar twice.
You are kidding!
Yeah, but this is back before I left Perth, so in my late teens, early 20s, in amateur theatre and stuff. And I've played Don Quixote in Man of La Mancha, and I've been in musicals that I've written. I was writing music for theatre a decade before I discovered any semblance of comedy. So performing in musical theatre and writing musical theatre is actually more what I've done in the past than comedy, but sometimes you hear the sort of people who are on Twitter on the other end of the radio going, yeah, and you're still not a comedian. Sorry, I'm my own heckler these days. But I've never, it is my first professional musical theatre role.
So are you a bit of a hoofer as well? Can you dance well?
Can't dance. Never could. I'm an actor, comic actor, singer.
Right.
And I loved musical theatre, but it wasn't sort of my goal. It's just that during my 20s, I just did loads of different things, but none of them very successfully, because it's very difficult in Australia, because it's a very small game. And then comedy kind of saved me from being an obscure, semi-skilled jack of all trades, and kind of got me a career, and now I'm doing everything I wanted to do.
And Andrew Lloyd Webber has said this was the best production of Jesus Christ Superstar he ever saw.
Well, yeah, he's incredibly keen on it, and there's lots of really good reasons for that. Firstly, I love Jesus Christ Superstar, and I specifically love the role of Judas. It's the only role in musical theatre I've ever wanted to play, of any show, except maybe Riff Raff from Rocky Horror, but I've always wanted to play Judas, and I'm sort of obsessed with the show, and I'm not alone. Lots of people, especially musos, are weirdly obsessed with the show, and my problem with it has always been, as it turns out, the same problems that Andrew has in the past had with it, in that it's never loud enough, because they stick it in theatres, and it's never kind of and sort of quite hard enough, and it is actually really good sort of late 60s, early 70s rock.
But the weirdest thing is when you see pictures of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice to some extent from that era, they look like these cool young men.
I know.
They look like the hip things around town, which is not necessarily how you're thinking of them now.
No, that's the thing, and I think Andrew suffers from that a bit. His own success during the 80s made him into an establishment figure.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone's written a rock opera as edgy as this ever since. 40 years. Surely someone's outdone it. Even Mormon, in a way, isn't as challenging. Not that it's a rock opera.
That for me is the best thing I've ever seen on a theatre stage.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, but I do get carried away with things if
I
they're new.
absolutely adore. Well, Andrew does too, which is why he loves his production so much, because it does so much that he's always wanted it to do. I love Mormon too.
So did you get to go around Andrew Lloyd Webber's house then?
Never been to Andrew's house. No.
Because I had a taxi driver once who told me that when he went through the gates, he reset the mileometer. He said it was 3 miles from the gates to the house.
Oh. Well,
you've got to go. He's not invited you round.
No, I haven't been invited.
Has he taken you to any fancy restaurants?
No, he's taken me to.
I'm not sure that he likes you.
Well, I think we get along quite well, Andrew. He's a different sort of chap from me, but I've got a musical in one of the theatres he owns, so he should like me.
You'd have
I'm
thought.
paying his rent.
You'd have thought. And then Matilda's still doing astonishingly well.
It's doing great, yeah.
Do you know, I've seen it, I think, either 2 or 3 times, and I can't help but cry. And it's moving. It's moving as it's moving in the way that a musical can be. But there's something about a little kid taking a curtain call that has me in floods of tears.
Completely breaks you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we're exploiting. Just make these kids do these things and people cry. Yeah, there's something about connecting to your sort of failed hopes of your childhood self.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you like being in a gang? Because of course, doing Jesus Christ Superstar, you did it in stadia around the country.
Yeah.
And when
Did you just use the word stadia?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you're awesome.
Thank you.
I just can't believe. I don't know. I made a terrible mistake. I didn't think that you would use the correct plural of
Yes,
stadia.
yes, it's Stadia Rock.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you played more than one, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right, mate. You're a nerd.
Because when you're playing, I guess it's just you and a piano and a small road crew, whereas with something like this, you're in a huge gang with a Spice Girl and Chris Moyles.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
I'm never going to be able to work without at least a Spice Girl ever again.
Have one on the rider.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think, I don't know which one I'd have. I guess I'd have to put them in order of preference if I was going to, or should I just say as Spice Girl and take what I'm given?
I think take what you're given at this stage.
Novelty Spice.
At this stage. I mean, you're doing well for yourself, Tim, but I don't think you can start specifying Spice Girls.
Yeah, beggars of Spice can't be choosers of Spice. I absolutely adore Mel. She's a very special little creature, I think, because she has been this pop star since her early 20s or whatever it was. But she's more down to earth than any of us, you know.
In my experience, she's the nicest one of the lot.
Well, right, well, I don't know them all.
I could rank them for you if you like, but she would definitely be the nicest
She's
one.
absolutely gorgeous, and I've met Emma as well, and she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I like people. And, but being part of that group was amazing. And it's sort of got that school camp thing where everyone falls in love and hugs at the end. We're never going to, we're going to stay in touch forever. And then
you don't.
And then you don't.
Did you go from place to place on a coach?
Yes.
And where did you sit on the coach?
Well, we're in a sort of rock and roll tour bus, so you sort of sit sideways in between the fridge and the spa.
Okay.
There wasn't really a spa.
So it wasn't like a backseat job then?
No. There are a couple of different coaches, and we were on the sort of special one that you only get to go on if you're with a Spice Girl. Or Chris Moyles.
Did you, a Spice Girl or Chris Moyles, moon any lorry drivers out the window?
I don't remember that, although there's something about the kind of condition you have to be in order to moon a lorry that sort of renders your memory less good.
Of course,
so
yeah.
I could have.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It takes a certain amount of physical dexterity as well.
Yeah.
And this is now on DVD, which I imagine will be a big thing over Christmas. Do you enjoy watching a musical generally on DVD, and how is this different?
I don't necessarily enjoy watching musicals very much, and I think the idea of filming theatre is a genre that is fraught with dangers, and I hate watching myself. And
Have you seen it?
I have seen it, and I am incredibly heartened by it. This idea of filming theatre live has been done a lot recently. The National Cinecast stuff live all over the world, and it's very quickly become a more refined art form. And this is actually, in a way, you have to get used to the sort of feel of it, the light and stuff. It's not quite like a film, but once you're sort of used to the vernacular of the shots and stuff, it's quite. I'm actually really. I want to use the word proud. I'm proud that I'm part of it. It's quite incredible, and it's just been in cinemas in Australia. I'm getting all this feedback from people who are going to see it, saying that I don't know what I just sat through, but it blew my brain. So
Amazing.
That's really good. Yeah.
Great. I'm going to play a track, and then I'll talk some more to Tim in a couple of minutes' time.
Sometimes I feel like throw my hands up in the air. I know I can count on you. Sometimes I feel like saying, Lord, I just don't care. But you've got the love.
It's Absolute Radio Home Time. Tim Minchin is here. Tim, I want to ask you some advice.
Okay.
Because you are a man who plays huge stadia and arenas. I am going to switch on the Christmas lights in my hometown of Macclesfield.
Oh, are you nervous?
Yeah.
Have you switched switches before?
Yeah, I did it in Knutsford back in 1993 when I was 20 years old. And back then I had a certain confidence about me. Do you find that you get more or less confident with age, by the way?
I think it goes both ways in various areas. I think you lose a bit of the kind of cocky, oh yeah, I can flick a switch, and you gain a bit of a sort of more peaceful confidence about, things like I can have a child. But these, definitely in my late 30s, I think if someone said, turn this switch on, I'd probably buckle.
Well, I was going to ask you what I could do, because my feeling is I will walk out onto a stage to a sea of antipathy, or just a chorus of who?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah.
So how would I handle that situation?
I think a lofty sort of arrogance, a politician's swagger. Sort of, I'm nobody, but, listen, because I'm special.
I was like a George Osborne sort of approach.
Yeah. Kind of...
I was born to switch on lights.
Exactly that, a sort of bravado over content.
Right. Do you think a cape would help in that situation?
I think probably a cape worn on your front.
Right, and... It's more of a smock.
A smock.
Yeah, and then if I was to come on, would you recommend pyrotechnics?
It can be hard to follow. You can, as they say, sort of blow your wad too early, and that's pyrotechnical term. That's the actual wad.
Yes.
That you're required to pack the barrel.
Okay.
So you don't want to blow that too early.
And entrance music, I was thinking Carmina Burana, because they always use that on everything now.
Yeah,
People are very familiar with it.
Yeah.
And then maybe the fast bit from Live and Let Die.
Yeah. You'd probably need to do something in a harness with a kind of wire running down a sort of, what do you call a thing when you go down a thing with a thing?
Oh yeah, a zip line.
A flying fox, a zip line. Yeah, that's what you need. If you're
I think we would be very good at one of those games where you have to say what the other person's describing without using the words.
Yeah,
We'd make a good team.
Yeah, what's that game called?
So you were born in Northampton. Do Northampton in any way claim you as their own? Do you ever get asked to do things like light switch-ons, or have you been offered the key to Northampton?
I'm not sure any city would be wise to associate themselves too publicly with me, because you just never know, really. No, every now and then someone says, oh, he's in Northampton, which is nice. It's absolutely lovely, and I can't help but feel a connection with the place, because it's where I was born. But I was born on sabbatical, my Australian parents, Dad was there studying at Northampton General Hospital. I was sort of a kind of holiday accident, really.
Yes.
Like a sunburn.
But when you go there, you're like, it's great to be in my hometown.
I did. I've only played one gig there ever, and I came out and did a couple of songs and went, I was born here, and everyone went, we don't get the joke. There's got to be a joke. You must say this in every town.
Show us your birth certificate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Show us whatever sort of genetic attribute people from that area have. It took a lot of convincing. In fact, I think most people thought it was some big joke even at the end of the show, but sure enough.
It's a fact because it's on Wikipedia.
Yeah, the Barrett maternity home. I can show you the stains.
The next thing I was going to talk to you about is Stand Up for Shelter. This is an announcement. We haven't said this on the radio yet, but you're doing it. You're headlining a gig for us at the Hammersmith Apollo.
Sure I am. 27th of February, and awesome fun.
It's a good old lineup as well. Alistair McGowan is on there, Stuart Francis, Sarah Pascoe, who I think is great.
She's brilliant.
And the musical actors, the Cuban Brothers, who are
absolutely awesome. It's a really good gig, actually, and charity gigs are tough. They try to put together a kind of group of people that draw a crowd and compliment each other. And
you said charity gigs are tough. I was going to say, they don't spend very much on the dressing room.
They don't pay me.
Travel standard class.
Yeah, that's right. No, they're hard to put together from a producerial point of view, but this lineup, I reckon, is great. I think it's going to be an awesome night, and it's obviously a brilliant charity that has very... the money all goes to the right place very quickly.
Kudos for using the word producerial.
Producerial?
Yes, that was good.
No worries.
Tickets, £30. There's 100 VIP tickets. Do you know what that means?
I assume they're premium. I assume it's about extracting more money from people who have too much.
But they don't get a lock of your hair.
They can have a lock of my hair.
Okay.
I mean, I'll just sort of trawl through my drain at the end of any shower.
100 VIP tickets, £50. And all proceeds go directly to Shelter. Every ticket sold for Stand Up for Shelter will support the charity's work to help homeless families find a safe and stable home. Tim, what are your plans for Christmas? Do you have a Festivus, being such a prominent atheist?
I have Christmas. I have a song about how I love Christmas as well, which yet again the proceeds for will go to the National Autistic Society. It's called White Wine in the Sun. You can get it on iTunes. And I'm going to do a huge outdoor festival, one-day festival in Sydney in early December, and then my sister's getting married, and then it's Christmas, and then my best friend's getting married, and then another friend's getting married, so I'm going back to Australia for festivals.
You're looking very svelte at the moment. Is that because you know you're going to gorge over Christmas and you'd...
I'm looking svelte because I got a job doing a TV show in LA earlier this year, and I went, oh God, because the character's basically nude or half nude half the time, and so I did a bit of work. And then I kind of have thought, well, I might try and stick with this. And it was good that Judas was kind of strong because he's a bit...
Is that the first time you've been nude on TV?
Well, I expect so. It's the first time I've ever really done an acting gig on TV.
Well, there you go. That answers that question.
I mean, I've taken my shirt off on my DVDs for a bit of a gag, but it's kind of funny because I'm slightly pudgy and ginger, you know. But, yeah, this character's a rock star and he's kind of a cokehead and stuff, and I thought he can't really sort of look like he's been out to pasture. Like, by the time I finished Christmas last year, I was pretty I looked pretty safe. I didn't look like I was going to starve. So I did something about it.
Wow. I'm very intrigued to see that. I mean, not that intrigued. I'm not intrigued.
You're quite intrigued.
Pervy way.
If you're that intrigued, I can just take my trousers off.
Were you comfortable being in a room full of people? It's TV studios full of people. Are you comfortable doing that? Are you the sort of person who on holiday you're happy taking your t-shirt off?
I kind of sway. Sometimes I feel alright about it, and sometimes I don't. And it's not really related to reality. It's related to how body image is so subjective. But it was great. The show's called Californication. It's David Duchovny.
Oh, right.
And the lead female in that is a woman called Natasha McElhone, who's a British actress who you'll recognise. She was in The Truman Show, and she's brilliant and beautiful. And I'd never met her, and I was really looking forward to meeting her. And the first day I had to do full nudity with a thing over your bollocks and gentleman's bits as a modesty
You said bollocks and then followed it with a very polite and gentleman's bits.
Yeah, I have bollocks and several other bits. It's a complicated sort of menagerie of dangles.
Are you the gentleman in question? Are there other gentleman's bits down there?
I keep them. I'm like a kennel for other people. Other people go on holidays and leave their bits to be fed by my bollocks. But I had to open the front door to my mansion. My character Atticus has a huge mansion in the Hollywood Hills, and it was on location, so it was an actual mansion. And I had to open these two huge mahogany doors, butt naked, to Natasha, who I'd never met. Like, I met her for a second. Oh, hi, great to meet you. And then they went, right, let's rehearse this. And bang.
Wow.
And this one of the most beautiful women on the planet standing there, and I thought, this is a great job. I love this job. This is fantastic.
You'd have made a good flasher if your career had gone differently.
Yeah, well, it used to go differently, and I was.
Tim, thanks so much for talking to us. Jesus Christ Superstar out on DVD. It would make an excellent Christmas present.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll tell people again in a short while about the lineup for Stand Up for Shelter. But for now, Tim Minchin, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff. Great to see you.
Imagine Jeff Lloyd's Home Time Show or any other radio broadcast, podcast, album, or online music.